Vanity. It's possible that one of the reasons you got on the path to mastery was to look good. But to learn something new of any significance, you have to be willing to look foolish. Even after years of practice, you still take pratfalls. When a most valuable player candidate misjudges a ball and falls on his duff, he does it in the sight of millions. You should be willing to do it before your teacher and a few friends or fellow students. If you're always thinking about appearances, you can never attain the state of concentration that's necessary for effective learning and top performance. It's George Leonard of Mastery. Hello, and welcome to episode 19 of The Everyday Marksman, a podcast where we talk about developing tactical skills for living a more adventurous life. I'm your host, Matt Robertson, a former military officer turned tech sector corporate grunt, and I am on a mission to help create a new generation of capable citizens. Our website is everydaymarksman.co, and there you'll find all of our episode show notes, blog posts, and our awesome community of marksmen. Before I get to the rest of the episode, I have a couple of listener shout-outs. I love getting reviews and messages from listeners and readers, and this week I wanted to share a 5-star review from 15 Handy. And here's what he had to say. I love listening to this podcast. Matt does a great job of bringing in a variety of guests, and you can tell he's knowledgeable and passionate about each episode. Definitely worth binging a few episodes during a drive or at the gym. Well, thank you very much, 15 Handy. I appreciate you listening and leaving a review. And I also want to throw a couple shout-outs to 2 community members, Sunshine Shooter and Al Gray, for posting the results of their successful 100 for 30 push-up challenge attempts. Now, the 100 for 30 challenge required each participant to complete 100 hand-release push-ups per day for 30 consecutive days. And I'll post a link to this particular challenge in the notes. Now, I completed this one as well, but this isn't about me, and I'll get to that later. Now, the latest Marksman Challenge went up this week on the site, and it's 30 consecutive days of dry fire practice, with emphasis on the practice. Interestingly, that challenge relates really well to today's topic. Now, if you're new to the show, then welcome. I tend to alternate between solo shows with thoughts about what I call the marksman's path and interviews with experts in the field. Now, you may ask yourself, hey, Matt, what is this marksman's path that you're talking about? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's a journey that every one of us embarks upon as we grow and develop in our skills. Unlike other shooting-oriented podcasts and websites, I'm not here only to talk about gear, competition, swapping stories, and marksmanship. Now be sure those are all still fun things, and I love to talk about them, but the bigger picture is that shooting skills and gear are but a single piece of a much larger tapestry of human capability. That's why we have the Marksman Challenges, to test many aspects of being prepared and capable. And today, we're going to talk about one of the most difficult parts of that path, staying on it. Now, I titled this episode, Matt versus the Cardio Machine. And to be honest, I kind of hate doing cardio. But I know it's necessary, especially as I get older and the demands on my time from family and career start building up. And I really struggle with this. Longtime listeners and readers know that I hate running. The only reason I ran in my life is because the Air Force made me, and I much prefer to row or ruck as my mode of exercise. So in this episode, I'm mostly referring to the rowing machine, but really anything will work. But this episode isn't really about cardio and its many benefits. This isn't strictly a fitness podcast per se. Rather, my goal is to stoke your interest in making fitness part of your overall package of capability and readiness. Really, though, the struggles that I have with maintaining a solid cardio routine apply to a lot of areas in life. And this relates back to what I call the death of mastery in our culture. Now, I opened up this episode with a quote from George Leonard, author of one of my favorite books, Mastery: The Keys to Success and Long-Term Fulfillment. I'll drop a link to my article on this book in the show notes. But one of the underlying themes of the book is that mastery is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Unfortunately, we live in a culture of instant gratification where we can learn almost anything instantly via the internet and experience a practically never-ending series of rushes from learning new skills and just new stuff in general. And if you don't think you're progressing fast enough, then there are companies out there chopping at the bit to sell you a solution to keep that rush going so you feel like you're still moving forward. But then, once you feel like you've hit a plateau or regress, we have a culture that makes it easy to simply quit and move on to the next thing. When you think about it, this sequence isn't all that different from a solid workout session. So here's the picture. Your alarm starts buzzing at 5 a.m. It's still dark outside, and you fumble around with your phone trying to silence it. And for a moment, you try to convince yourself that you don't really need to get up this early to work out, or that, you can put it off. Your warm bed begs you to stay tucked in, or at least you'd like to think so. Now, after distracting yourself for 10 minutes or so, flipping through Twitter and Instagram, trying to delay the inevitable, you throw the covers off and put on the workout clothes you laid out the night before, trying not to make too much noise and wake up your family who is still sleeping away. You're jealous. At least the cardio machine you've got is in the house, so you don't have to go anywhere else. So you hop onto it. You start the session. At first, you feel tension and crackling as your body shakes off sleep. You feel the years building up, and this kind of used to be easier for you. But within a couple minutes, you feel better. You're getting into a rhythm, you're jamming to your carefully curated workout playlist, and you feel good about yourself. This is a lot like starting to pick up a new skill. It's always fun and interesting when you get started. You're getting into it, you're getting to the groove. But back in our cardio session, 10 minutes go by. And you feel a little bit different. You're breathing heavy. You're sweating. You're uncomfortable. But you persist because it's not that bad. In your mind, though, you're already kind of getting over it. 20 minutes in, you're halfway. You're bored. The ache in your muscles is getting worse, and you feel gross and soaked in sweat. You feel exhaustion creeping in, and keeping up your efforts seems unattainable. In the back of your mind, you start quietly justifying why 20 minutes is good enough. It's still a solid workout session, you say, and you would be perfectly fine and happy if you stopped now to move on with the day. This, my friend, is the mastery plateau. It's the moment for us where it's just so easy to move on to the next thing because this one got hard. But this plateau, this struggle, is where the magic really starts happening. Now, in cardio terms, this is where your body's energy stores are being tapped out, and it's having to develop better and more efficient ways to keep up energy. That's the real purpose of doing cardio. But in the broader context, this is where you've reached the end of your comfort zone. Don't quit. Stay the plateau. Keep working. We're 30 minutes in. You're losing it. You can't keep up the power. You're slowing down. You feel tired and weak. Why did I do this to myself, you ask? This is stupid. Nobody cares. There's a little voice in the back of your head just repeating that to you. Again, it would be easy to quit, but you have to persist. 40 minutes. You're done. Some people talk about a type of euphoria that washes over them after they finish a workout. I am not one of those people. I stumble off the machine, sucking air and feeling fire in my lungs. Perhaps some part of me feels good about what I've done, but another part would rather just have slept in and taken the easy path. It's not like I'm going to see immediate results. I'm not going to be 20 pounds lighter after a solid workout. I won't even be that after several workouts. The payoff isn't immediate, and it's hard to keep eyes on the future. From a fitness standpoint, this is why so many of us struggle with nutrition and maintaining a routine, because we don't see those immediate results. It seems so far away, especially when it feels so boring and hard right now. So I asked myself, is there a pill I could take? Maybe I could get liposuction. But do those actually solve the problem? And I think this is the most dangerous moment. We've survived a plateau, and we didn't quit. Hooray for us. But the payoff didn't come. All you see in front of you is more work. Life, marksmanship, survival skills, whatever, it all works a lot like this cardio session. You get excited, you start working, and you feel good about what you're doing. And then it starts to feel less good. It starts to feel like work. The hardest part is dealing with the knowledge that all of the work that you just put in, whether it's a single workout, a dry fire practice session, or whatever, only amounts to a tiny bit of improvement in the grand scheme of things. True mastery only comes from the thousands of those sessions repeated over and over and over. You may never actually notice your improvement from session to session. It's only when you get far enough down the path and look backwards that you'll see just how far you came. And then you'll hit the next plateau. Because the path to mastery has no end. So what does that mean? Commit to the path, not to the goal. This is my struggle, and it will continue as long as I draw breath. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. This one was a little different for me, but it's been on my mind lately, so I felt compelled to put it out there. If you enjoyed it, be sure to come by the site everydaymarksman.co and leave a comment, share it with a friend, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'll see you next time.